Hi everybody, and welcome to this edition of Market Shapers, and I am really excited. We are joined by Antonio Elmore. Antonio, good to see you.
Thanks, sir.
Thanks for joining us. So we're mixing it up a little bit. We've talked to a lot of our amazing agents within our family that have been in the business for years and years and have really shared some ideas on what they've done to have sustained long-term success. And Antonio and I ran into the hall a couple months ago, and we said, you know, what might be really helpful for a lot of our folks out there would be to have a conversation with somebody who's newer to the business and kind of what they've done to ramp up over their first year in order to be successful. So that's kind of what we're going to touch on today. And Antonio, I appreciate you willing to sit down on the hot seat for a little bit.
Yes, sir. Thank you for having me.
Well, let's start with this. When did you get into real estate?
I got in real estate around October of last year. I transitioned from corporate America. I was in corporate America for around 13 years doing management over customer service and a retention department. It came to a point where I wanted to make a change in my life.
Right.
I've always been interested in real estate as far as investing and whatnot. So even investors need a real estate agent.
Yeah.
So the best way I felt to learn about real estate is to become an agent. And after doing a bunch of interviews with different companies, I chose Ebby because of the Ebby brand and the Ebby name.
Yeah. And I think when you went through Ebby school, you were the first class that I had spoke to in my new role when I came down here.
Yes, sir.
And I started calling you Mr. Front Row because you were in the front row every single time, just basically kind of soaking up everything that was being tossed out at you.
Yes, sir. I mean, even in school, I feel like just being in the front row, you learn a lot and you are able to soak in a lot of information. And as you being a good mentor, I feel like you were the person that, when I met you, I feel like you were a person that I wanted to try to learn things from.
Yeah, we kind of connected pretty quickly with you
Yes.
sitting there. I used you as my example for everything
Yes,
I was
sir.
talking about, and I think we decided as you go, I go. So
Yes,
since
sir.
we started at the same time. So
That's
well,
great.
okay. So let's kind of fast forward just like a month into your business.
Mm-hmm.
What are some of the first things? I know you're kind of a systems guy. So what are some of the things you initially started doing to kind of build a routine? Because you mentioned it when we were kind of getting ready for this setup here,
Yes,
that
sir.
you don't immediately just all of a sudden you get your license and all of a sudden you got 5 buyers in the pipeline and 6 listings.
Right.
You have to kind of build that. So what systems were you putting in place to kind of build as you moved forward?
Well, I mean, first of all, I mean, I'm real confident in anything that I do. I came in real estate thinking that, you know, I'm going to have buyers and sellers and things are going to be real easy. I was hit with a reality that that's not the way it is.
Yeah.
So really just have to build systems. Some of the systems that I use are definitely open houses.
Okay.
I try to be at least at 2 open houses every weekend. I'm always on the up desk working the phones, so you get lead generations through that. And those are some of the systems that I use. And I'm also a member of several chamber of commerces, so I network with a lot of business people, and that brings a lot of leads also.
Right. So open houses, I've really been impressed with that. Let's talk a little bit how you prepare for an open house, how you're getting open houses, and then what you do to promote them. So for starters, have you kind of made it known across your office, like if you've got an open house, like I'm the guy that'll host it for you? How did you kind of go about to build your opportunities for those?
I want to call myself an open house expert. What I do is in the office, if we have new listings that come out, we have a lot of top producers in our office,
Sure.
the Plano office. So what I do is I reach out to them when they have new listings that's coming out. If they have a new listing, what I do is I just usually try to put out an open house sign a couple of days before the open house. The day of the open house, I put out my open house signs, and basically I try to have snacks and food there for our customers. My login information is I use a iPad. So usually people write down their information, but sometimes you can't understand it. Mm-hmm. So using the iPad kind of takes that out of the equation, and it kind of lets you know that you're up to date on things.
Sure. You know, the other thing too is you usually put out a video on Facebook.
Definitely.
So talk about like what content you're putting on Facebook for an open house. Is it letting everyone know this is happening? Here's the address. Come see me. Like what do you kind of effectively use that video part for?
A couple of days before the open house, I'll post it on social media, whether it be LinkedIn, Facebook, Instagram. Then people know that I am having an open house. The day of the open house, I try to do a live video, letting people know that I'm at this location, and I actually do a walkthrough of the house.
Right.
So once doing the walkthrough of the house, usually it kind of brings a lot of feedback. People notice it, and people know that you are in real estate.
Yeah.
You can't be a secret agent.
Yeah. Yeah, and we talked about that. So like you got that from Tom Ferry.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
So one of the things, unfortunately, we had to do right before the video shot was they asked you to take off your name badge because it can be distracting on the video a little
Yes,
bit.
sir.
but you mentioned the success you have by wearing your badge everywhere,
Yes,
including even
yes,
the gym.
yes,
So
yes.
talk about, as a new agent, the importance of that aspect of your business.
Well, it's really just about marketing. Everywhere I go, I usually have on an Ebby t-shirt. I have gym clothes that have Ebby on them. So if I'm at the gym, they come up to you and they ask you, how's the market?
Right.
Whether you're in the supermarket or whatnot, if you have on Ebby logo, they're going to come ask you, how's the market?
Yeah. So part of that means is there's a burden of also knowing the market, right?
That's
so
right.
like you kind of have like your kind of ready to go speech when people
Yes,
ask
sir.
you that question. Here's what I'm going to say. Here's the the information I'm going to get out to them.
I have my little spiel,
Yeah.
so when people come up to me and ask me how's the market, and I usually say it depends. It depends on who you are. Are you the buyer? Are you the seller? Are
Right.
you an investor? So
Right.
it just depends on who you are in the market, of how the market is.
Yeah, yeah. Well, so after an open house and you've collected some names on the iPad, what's a little bit of your follow-up with those names and email addresses that you've collected? What do you kind of do at that point with those?
What I do is usually the following day I'll send them a text, and sometimes people don't really remember you, because you'll be surprised. Buyers actually go to a lot of open houses,
yeah.
and they can't really remember who they spoke with. So a lot of times I will send them a video text.
Nice.
So they remember who I am,
Yeah.
and just basically explain that I'm Antonio, I met you at the open house, I would love to do business with you, and sometimes they follow back up with you, and sometimes they go ghost. So
Yeah, and that's just part of it. I mean,
That's
part
a
of the
part
game
of the
is
system.
knowing the number of people you have to touch in order to turn one into a lead, and how many leads you have to convert into a closing.
Yes,
And
sir.
so that's part of the reality of it. I love the use of video, though, the Facebook promoting of the open house before, during, and then the follow-up text videos. It's
Yes,
great.
sir. Yes, sir.
I find that anytime you send video via email or text, the response rate obviously goes up quite
Yes,
a bit.
sir.
The other thing that we were chatting about a little bit too is that when we were really fortunate here as a company to have Gino Blafari come visit us,
Yes, sir.
and kind of speak about what his routine in life is like. I think a lot of people came away with like, well, I can do that, and it made sense. And so I know you implemented some of those things. So talk a little bit about, after listening to Gino, some of those things that you've done with your daily routine and your career.
Well, as far as Gino goes, I actually have his success journal right here.
Yeah.
I read it every day. A lot of the stuff that he has in there, as far as the books, I try to read. He has over 100 books in there, so
Right.
I try to catch up with the books that he has listed that we should read. Far as the daily routine, writing down stuff that I'm thankful for.
Yeah.
And just reaching out to people, how many handwritten letters I want to do a week, things of that sort that he has for our success journal. I try to follow that.
Yeah. And so what impact has that had on that? Just that simple act of like writing down things that you're grateful for, like what does that do for your mindset?
It builds confidence, and it lets you know that there's more things in life than just real estate.
Yeah.
And who are you working for?
Right.
You want to try to take care of your family. You want to build a financial wall around your family. I'm real big about health and wealth. So I try to
Health
make
and
sure I
wealth, I like
take
that.
care of myself. And usually if I take care of myself and I feel well, it transfers into real estate. And real estate is the best way to try to build wealth in life.
Yeah, I've found too, both personally and just talking with others too, it's rare that you find someone whose personal life is like stellar, right? It's going great, but their
Right.
business life is down.
Right.
Or things are great in business, but my personal life is really poor. Like,
Yes, sir.
there is this symbiotic relationship between the two. And
Yes,
so
sir.
health and wealth, I like that one
Yes,
quite a
sir.
bit. That's
Yes,
good. So you mentioned that you are in the Plano office with the amazing Kay Wright. So talk a little bit about what you've done at that office level, as far as you mentioned that you have a formal mentor, but you also absorb what you have around you as well too. So just talk about how you kind of go about your office life as well too.
Well, our office has, as you know, is high energy.
Yeah.
My manager, Kay Wright, she is a big influencer as far as getting out there. She holds me accountable.
Yeah.
I'll put it like that.
Yeah.
And we have a lot of top producers in our office, from Pam Lewis, Russell Demick, Bruce Rayburn, Linda Jackson. I try to pick all of those guys' mind.
Yeah.
I pull stuff from each one of them, and those are one of our top producers that I try to make sure that I do open houses for.
Right.
Because they have so many listings that they always need help, and I try to open myself up to the office and let them know if anyone needs help, I'm there for them.
Yeah. Well, and I think that's such a great thing too, is that I love the culture of our company and all of our brands, that regardless of what stage you are in your career, success new to the business, there's an open sharing there that involves that.
Yes,
and so
sir.
I think that's really neat that, one, you're open to learning from everybody,
Yes, sir.
but at the same time, you've got these top producers that are super willing to share everything they're doing with you also.
Most of the time when they come in the office, a lot of times I'm at the up desk and they ask me how I'm doing. I
Right.
always say I'm living the dream.
Yeah, that's really good.
Yes,
and
sir.
Then so other things that, like, from the Ebby perspective and the Ebby Halliday family companies, the tools and other resources that you might rely on in your business that would be good for other people that are getting into business to kind of to think about as well.
Well, I mean, the main thing is, like, when I came into Ebby is Ebby School.
Yeah.
Ebby School is a good foundation. It's a good nesting environment for agents that are coming in the industry. A lot of the stuff that you learn during your testing period is not what happens
Yeah.
in real life,
Yeah.
you know. So Ebby School gets you ready for that. There are so many different things that Ebby offers, like leading RE. There's an 8-week program for new agents, and you learn so much through those programs
Right.
if you take out the time to do them.
Yeah,
You know?
yeah, and I think that's the key is, in the beginning is invest in yourself, and that's kind of what you've
Yes,
done.
sir.
Is every time you're working on your mindset through what Gino's provided, or the Leading RE program, the Ebby School, that is an investment in yourself.
Yes,
and
sir.
You have taken advantage of that, which has been awesome.
I found that if I work harder on myself, things work out better.
Yeah, yeah,
Work harder on yourself than your job.
yeah. That's great, and everything kind of revolves around that,
Yes,
and
sir.
it all works out.
Yes, sir.
Well, that's a good note to end it on. So, Antonio, thanks for joining us. This was awesome tips for everybody.
Yes,
I think
sir.
whether you're new or experienced, the things that you're doing translate to being successful.
Yes, sir.
Health and wealth. I like it.
Thank you, sir.
Everybody, thanks for tuning in to this edition of the Market Shapers. Appreciate it. Antonio, thanks again, and we'll see you next time.